Jujutsu Kaisen: The Culling Game Part 1. Yeah, where do you think this is going? Sometimes anime are as popular as they are because they deserve to be. Jujutsu Kaisen is just that good, and it's only getting better. And I'm not just saying that because I like the fights and nothing else about this series. Season 3 has 3 episodes alone that I'd consider perhaps the best episode of Jujutsu Kaisen. Yeah, stay tuned for the best anime episodes of 2026 coming sometime next year. Now, as much as I love Jujutsu Kaisen, I do have one gripe. I understand you need to spruce up the formula when a battle series has gone on for a while, but I'm just worried things are getting too complex. I felt some of the curse techniques and domains to be a bit overcomplicated, and I'd rather just see how their abilities play out. I mean, my name is Action First after all. When it comes to my action series, I don't want to think. There are enough fights in this season for every range of IQ to enjoy, even for dedicated knuckle draggers like myself. And I'm really just nitpicking here. I know at this point not to doubt Jujutsu Kaisen and the wild ride it's taken us on, and will take us on. It just hits every single time, as it brings us one step closer to finding the perfect anime. Wait, I've still got a whole video left before I should say that. Hello, and welcome. Last summer I made the bold claim that it was the greatest season of anime ever, but this winter might have been just as good, if not better.
Sheen, this is the 7th week in a row you've shown
the greatest anime season ever in class! Yeah, I know, but as it turns out, anime is on a winning streak right now, and it ain't let it up anytime soon. Which is why you should join me as I continue my journey to discover the perfect anime. Hell's Paradise Season 2. Now, I'll admit, this is an anime I ranked to my 2nd tier list ever, and I honestly don't remember a whole lot of it. I remember liking it, but what I don't remember is it being this good. Yeah, Hell's Paradise Season 2 is a major upgrade. At least that's what I'd say if I remembered more about the first season. I do remember making a whole bunch of survivor jokes, but regardless, this is still an extremely creative and exciting anime. I mean, the power system is based around hugging each other. Aww, and
what do you like to do? Screw. Well, let's screw.
With how busy that mop has been lately, it's great to see that this is getting the time and attention that it deserves. Roll over and die. Okay. Is the newest entry into the gay horror genre. I've heard of toxic Yuri, but in this world, the Yuri is the only thing not toxic. Yeah, living here kinda sucks. The main character Flume is part of the hero's party, but one of her fellow party members gets pissed off about her, brands her a slave, and then the next thing she knows, she's supposed to be eaten alive. This is the first 10 minutes, by the way, and it doesn't get much cheerier from there. Each episode, she loses one of her limbs. She can regenerate, but in the same way that Alicia from Clevitis does. And we've got plenty of man-made horrors beyond her comprehension. I'm gonna put this in B tier. Its main fault is it isn't the greatest adaptation, which is a shame because I actually like the story here quite a bit. If it received the same treatment of the last 2 gay horror anime I watched, then I would have ranked it a bit higher. Last year, I was pleasantly surprised with My Hero Academia Vigilantes, especially since I haven't watched the main series since like 2019, but I found this season a bit disappointing. I still liked it overall, and it had its best episode yet this season too. But where's Knuckle Duster? He only shows up briefly at the end and steals the show, of course, but he was my favorite part of season 1. Honestly, Koichi and Popstep are barely in it too. I wasn't expecting a series called Vigilantes to have such a big rogues gallery, but if this does continue, I'd love to see more of what we got in the first season overall. Behold, everyone, a brand new masterpiece from Animation Studio 42, Jack of all trades, party of none. What, you don't know who Animation Studio 42 is? They're most famous for making the hit anime, Jack of all trades, party of none. Yeah, you'd think an anime like this would be animated poorly. But to the studio's credit, the action scenes are fairly nice. I especially like the episode where the MC Orhun fights the Black Dragon. So I'm not putting this in D tier for that reason, but instead, because this anime has the amazing ability to have a pretty solid episode, followed by 6 episodes of boring meetings. I don't need a brand new anime to remind me of Slime Season 3, and yes, I'm still behind on that one. This is also one of those fantasy anime. You know, the I was kicked out of the hero's party. And I think that's my least favorite setup. I mean, banished from the hero's party is pretty great, but that's the exception. I thought the point of getting kicked out of the hero's party stories is to set up a revenge plot, but half of the time they don't even commit. And half of these episodes, I found myself struggling to stay awake. Maybe I'll watch season 2 since I did stick through to the end, and we finally get introduced to the actual villains of the series in like the final episode. But really, this isn't worth writing home about. Wake up, honey. We got a new good horror anime. Kaguya-chan Isn't Scary is kinda like Mob Psycho 100. If Mob was a 5-year-old girl, and the actual Mob of this show was like a far less charismatic Reagan. Even if she's the strongest exorcist in the world, Kaya is still a 5-year-old. So most people aren't going to believe her. I mean, if a kid that age came up to you and said, what would you do? Kaya herself follows in Yoi's footsteps of being little girls scarier than any of the ghosts they hunt in their own show. Now, the latter part of this anime becomes more of a family drama, and I really wasn't into that as much as the rest of the show. But come on, beggars can't be choosers. If we get a good horror anime in this economy, I'm taking it. And Kaguya-chan Isn't Scary is well worth a watch. Fire Force Season 3 Part 2 has gotta be my personal favorite stretch of the series. And I'm glad. How often do anime in general get an actual complete ending? Fire Force has been on a bit of a weird ride. The first 48 episodes came out in a year and a half, and now 6 years later, the third and final season has finally wrapped up. And yeah, you can tell that there are parts here that do rush the source material, but what needed to happen, happened. And it thankfully has a very satisfying conclusion for the series as a whole. I greatly enjoyed watching this, and if this finale means what I think it means, then I'm so excited. If you know, you know. Chain Soldier Season 2 requires you to have your dry cleaning done in advance, since you don't want to miss your finest suit and tie. Not only is this an ecchi anime, but it's also an action anime, and equally to both. Heck, of this season, we finally get the female Gojo who I raved about in one of my favorite videos I've made. Even better because the current Gojo is currently held up in, Miami-Dade County, I guess. I've seen a lot of other fans of this series say Season 2 is a massive improvement over the first. Honestly, I'm not too sure because I already remember liking that a bit, even if I did find some of it disappointing. But I won't lie, I'm biased as hell. This is one of my favorite manga just in general, and seeing it get 2 seasons that are as fun to watch as it is well worth it. Would I like it to be on the same level as Jujutsu Kaisen? Sure, but it's also got its own niche, one it proudly fills. Man, there's so many garbage rom-coms in 2025 that it's nice to see a brand new trash rom-com. A rom-com that knows exactly what it's trying to do and excels at it. You Can't Be in a Rom-Com with Your Childhood Friends is amazing. I love this show, and I don't feel any shame in saying that. This is taking me back to the fun, goofy, trashy harems of the 2000s and early 2010s. I had so much fun watching this. But is it any good? No. But this is the all-you-can-eat buffet for $12 of anime. There may be regret in the future, but for the time being, load me up with the fried shrimp and make your own omelet station. An anime like this is impossible for me not to enjoy, but I am gonna put it in B tier because there was a much better harem this season. Tune In to the Midnight Heart is a harem rom-com that actually plays itself seriously, and not just for the love of the game, like the last one. It's about this guy who speaks in all caps Times New Roman font named Arsu Yamabuki, who is searching for Apollo, the mysterious late-night DJ he listened to in middle school. So, get this. He tracked down which part of Japan she'd most likely live in, enrolled in potentially the same high school, and motherfucker got it right. Goddamn. Get this guy on the Kira case now. It's just that Apollo is one of 4 members of the school broadcasting club, and all 4 of them are pursuing careers involving their voice. A singer, a voice actress, an anchor, and a VTuber. And to the credit of the voice actresses, they do a great job sounding similar, so Arsu needs to track down which one is actually Apollo and confess properly. I'll mention this every time I can when talking about great harems, but what makes him great is the MC. Arsu is the kind of guy to pick you up and carry you over the finish line whether you want to or not. If you're feeling down, he'd just fall down to make you feel better. If you've got diarrhea, he'd shit himself to show you that everything's gonna be alright. I really like this anime and I'd like to put it higher than A tier, but the production quality isn't the strongest. But even still, this one was pretty good. Hell Mode, the hardcore gamer dominates in another world with garbage balancing, is the best kind of isekai. Because we're not dealing with the standard everyday isekai boar fight here. No, our economy is centered around the boar fight. The MC, Alan, is reborn into this world since he was a sweaty hardcore gamer like all of us, and wanted a real challenge, so he's isekai'd on the hardest difficulty. He rises through the world, relying on his skills, connections, and those around him. Now, the show is called Hell Mode, but like, I don't think this is a world that's that challenging for him. I mean, I've seen what a Hell Mode isekai looks like. This is pretty chill. He's got a loving family, most isekai they be dead or absent, friends to grow up with, and can summon his own little Pokemon. I think the difficulty is that he's a serf.
Don't see that often. Must be a serf.
Yeah, I'm a serf.
But guys, this is seriously a fantastic show. It's a lot like Mushoku Tensei, and perfect if you don't want to watch, Mushoku Tensei. So much of the appeal is just watching Alan grow and experience this world through his own lens. And the nobles here are actually realistic and good people. I like it in isekai when the nobility are supportive of their subjects. And as for the CGI quality, it's on the same level almost as Kamikaze for me. Endearing in its own way. I thoroughly love this anime. S tier, just wonderful to watch. You and I Are Polar Opposites is a new rom-com where the couple are really into each other and start dating in episode 1. Wait, really? Oh, hell yeah. I love anime. Not only is it super bright and colorful, but man, is it a joy to watch. Are there stakes here? Is there a major conflict? No, there doesn't need to be. This is about a blossoming love between two goofballs that may be opposites on paper, but they seriously can't help how madly in love they are with each other. And I love how an early episode makes you think there's going to be some sort of misunderstanding, but that really isn't the case. This anime is great. The side couples are excellent, and Lapid Track is really on their way on becoming a heavy hitter in the anime industry. In the Clear Moonlit Dusk is a new rom-com where the couple are really into each other and start dating in episode 2. Wait, really? Yeah, rom-coms this season are actually pretty good. Already a big step up from rom-coms last year, and this show is pretty great too. I like the cool angle of the main character being a tomboy. They don't usually get the starring role, and when they do, it's a treat. But I am going to knock this down a tier from where I'd originally like to rank it, because I just don't like Yoi's coworker. He's in a distant third in a one-person race. Heck, Yoi's dad has more game than him. I have more game than him, and I'm an anime YouTuber. You gotta know when to call it quits, bud. Does it count if you lose your innocence to an android? Oshinoko Season 3 is a god tier. I know there's been so much discourse about how the manga ended, but I'd argue Season 3 is the best the show's been yet. It's thrown me through so many loops and just delves deeper and deeper into these characters' minds. It's brutal, really. The cast are also blinded by revenge that everyone and everything around them is a pawn. But really, isn't that what being in the entertainment industry is like? It takes a certain kind of person to not just work, but thrive in this field. And Oshinoko keeps pulling you further in with them. And Medalist Season 2 is also still a god tier. Yeah, there's a lot of good anime from this winter, and plenty more I'm going to rank still to come. But sometimes you get seasons like this, where there's just so much quality anime coming out, that it makes some of the best anime not stand out as much as they should. So let me make it clear that Medalist is without a doubt one of the best anime of the decade, and it's only gotten better. I do find it disappointing that the second season is only 9 episodes, but it ends on a perfect note. We're getting a movie next, and I've no doubt it's going to be peak. What's up, everybody? It's Moist First. I'm reviewing Dead Account. Let's do this shit. It's a new battle shonen based around being terminally online. Online because all the powers are based around phones. Canceling people and rage baiting. MC goes to an exorcist school run by the Suck, and the world is terrorized by ghosts who spam Goatsy and Tub Girl on your Twitter homepage. Watching this anime is like trying to take a shit, but the shit only comes out halfway. And before you know it, you've lost all feeling in your leg, like being jerked off by a Tyrannosaurus. Clocking this in the moist meter, I'd give it Okay, I can't do the voice critical voice anymore. Joking aside, honestly, I'd say this is basically the same as Togenanki for me. Is it good? Of course not. But I can't hate this. The power system being based around internet terminology and how it's used to exercise ghosts is pretty clever. Surprised I haven't seen something like this before. Strong recommendation if your anime tastes are the exact same as mine. Sentenced to be a Hero is awesome. Guys, we're in a good place right now with dark fantasy. Clevitus last summer, we just had this. Clevitus is coming back, and Sentenced to be a Hero is also getting a second season. It's just so well made. The choreography, the camera work, the level of gore. Xylo is the best lollymancer since Subaru Natsuki, and Studio Kai really just dropped an hour-long premiere and grabbed everyone's attention. I know they seem pretty out of left field to do this, but they've already done work on Uma Musume and one of my favorite anime of 2024, Seventh Time Loop. Sentenced to be a Hero does a great job flipping standard concepts on their heads too. Fairies are demons, goddesses are weapons, the church is corrupt. Wait, they usually are. Xylo throws his swords instead of wielding them. Isekai protags are side characters. The wilderness is as beautiful as it's dangerous. As much fun as I've had watching this series, most of the fights usually end up the exact same way. But you know, explosions are cool. This anime is cool. I'm thoroughly impressed with what we've seen so far. Shiboyugi playing death games to put food on the table. Man, this one really caught me off guard. It lures you in slowly and methodically with this dreamy atmosphere. And then suddenly, yeah, the death games in the title weren't an exaggeration. And Yuki's someone who's
Played these games before!
28 times as a matter of fact, which is like the ultimate mental game strat. Imagine if you're just starting out in career mode, and the first girl you meet is the Magnus Carlsen of Squid Games. How'd you feel in this situation? But just because you've seen these games before doesn't mean everything is a guarantee. In any one of these games, Yuki can easily die, get dismembered, or witness something no one alive should have to see. This is the worst anime to watch if you're Young Thug, and replacing blood with a preservation just makes it more effective in my opinion. This is truly an anime that won't be for everyone. It's brutal and at times makes you sick to your stomach. But as for me, I strongly commend Studio Dean on what they made here. It genuinely blew me away time and time again, and I'll continue with this series, as morbid as I might be. And if that anime didn't catch me off guard enough, there's also Journal with Witch, and wow, I'm at a loss for words. This is truly an anime that everybody should watch at least once. It's about a teenage girl going through life right after losing her parents in a horrible tragedy. And this isn't the kind of anime that holds your hand as you watch it. Both Asa and her aunt Makio really don't know how to process such a dramatic life moment for them, for very different reasons. Asa had a stable relationship with her mother, or did she? She goes about her life wondering every day how her mother truly felt about her, and if she really loved her. And Makio lost her sister, one that she didn't even keep in contact with. I've seen stories that delve into what it's like losing someone you're close to, but for Asa and Makio, how exactly are they supposed to process their feelings and their loss, while the world around them continues drumming along, same as it always has? There's a lot of brutal questions this anime asks, and isn't afraid to say, I don't know the answer to. I was a bit unsure how to properly rank this, like Takapi's Original Sin last year, but I do think I'll put this in God tier. After watching every episode, you're going to sit there and just think and reflect. Tamon's B-side is much more lighthearted, and I'm glad to talk about it because, man, I had so much fun watching this. Now look, I'm a weeb, I've got my own waifus, and I have nothing but respect for people who dedicate their entire livelihoods to loving their number one waifu or husbando. But I have mixed feelings when it's about a real person. However, for Utage, she's more obsessed with Tamon as a persona than as a human being. She worships him as an idol. In reality, Tamon and the other members of Face, with a forward slash, are a bit quirky. There's a saying of never meet your heroes, but if you do, keep in mind that they're real people too. You don't know what they're going through, and fortunately, Utage is just the kind of girl Tamon needs to get back on his feet when he needs that the most. Absolutely fantastic. S tier. The Danger to My Heart, the movie. Now, I normally don't rank movies in these tier lists, but I am making an exception here because I drove nearly 3 hours to the nearest theater that was playing this to see a compilation film of a series I've already watched multiple times just to see about 10 to 15 minutes of new footage. And it was one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life. Guys, The Danger to My Heart is still my favorite anime of the decade, and it isn't even a close competition either. This movie adapted the greatest chapter of manga I've ever read in my life. I'm going to praise The Danger to My Heart every chance I get, which thankfully is going to happen again in the future. Cosmic Princess Kaguya is also a movie, but this one is streaming on Netflix, and I wanted to rank it here too because it's one of the best movies I've ever seen. Like, I'll be real quick on this one. Don't look up anything, just watch it right now. After you finish this video, of course, you won't regret it. The Holy Grail of Eris is a great anime on premise alone. It's about this girl named Constance Grail, who's become entangled in an ongoing revenge plot involving Scarlet Castile, a ghost trying to avenge her own death as 10 years ago she was framed and publicly executed. Constance is pretty meek, but anytime she's in danger, Scarlet can just possess her like she's Yu-Gi-Moto and locked in. Now, I like anime like this quite a bit actually, but I'll admit, I got lost here. Like, there's too many moving parts here moving at such a quick pace that I became like Scarlet herself in episode 8. It's not a bad anime, just one that really wasn't for me, unfortunately. To Your Eternity Season 3 and Gnosia. So from now on, anytime I rank the second core of an anime in consecutive tier lists, I'm just going to run through it real quickly. And they're both going to the same tier they were in before. To Your Eternity Season 3 had some really wild ups and downs, but overall, I'm pretty satisfied where the season ended off on. Gnosia definitely still has a lot of loose ends by the time it ended, but this is a game adaptation, and the studio obviously wants you to play the original visual novel. Despite that, I still think this anime is fantastic. Trigun Stargaze. Now, I'm someone who loves Stampede. I ranked it in my first ever tier list, and I stand by the rating I gave it then. Studio Orange knows how to make CGI anime better than any other studio, and I'm glad they continue pushing it as an art form. And while this winter had Jujutsu Kaisen, Hell's Paradise, Sentenced to Be a Hero, and the next anime that I'll cover all have amazing action and fight scenes, Trigun Stargaze is right up there too. Action fans ate well this winter. Now, the reception of Stargaze hasn't been as positive as Stampede was, from what I've seen. I barely watched the original, so I don't know if it's because of being compared to that. However, I will agree that the pacing here was a bit jarring. Perhaps if this was 2 cores, it would have been received better, but I still really enjoyed this. And finally, Fate Strange Fake, which I'm saving for last because a friend of mine has recently gotten me into Fate, and I wanted him to watch this entire video before I got to the anime he wanted me to talk about the most. You're welcome. Now, last time I ranked an anime that was based off of a manga written by Ryugo and Narita, I joked that I make my own flowchart when I watch this, and you know what? I didn't do that because I was too busy not doing that. Yeah, as a first-time Fate watcher, I have no clue what really happened here or what was going on. Maybe I shouldn't have started Fate as a media franchise with something that has strange in the title. But unlike Mobile Suit Gundam G-Quux last year, I know that when a priest uses a secret grenade in his robotic arm to blow up a vampire, it's hype. When Saber uses a twig as the legendary sword Excalibur, it's peak. Whenever Gilgamesh is on screen, it's amazing. The same friend of mine is now getting me into other Fate series, so when this continues, I should be prepared, and I am looking forward to watching it again, as it brings us one step closer to finding the perfect anime. And there you have it, all the anime I watched this winter season ranked. I'm gonna try to make these tier lists shorter overall, so I'd love to know if you prefer the faster pace of this one and how I covered some of these anime. And if you enjoyed this video, then I shall give you the honor of liking it and subscribing to me. Next up is finally gonna be the best anime episodes of 2025, so stay tuned for that one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.